Now, welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Thor's Lightning Takes. And let's get right to the news.
All right, we're going to go over some interviews with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. First one, Dave Filoni thinks fans are going to be cheering during the Mandalorian Season 3 finale, while another cast member says fans might be hurt.
I guess it depends on who you like. You might cheer the death of a character you don't like, but it might hurt others, right?
We'll see. And Filoni was talking with Collider, and he thinks that the ending will have fans really excited and plenty to talk about. While Brendan Wayne, one of the actors who plays Din Djarin, has a different reaction to how fans might see the finale. But first, Filoni says they'll have a lot to take in, and I think with any good ending, there's the moment you're in it when you're cheering, and you feel satisfied. But then there's a little bit after that where you think back at all the things that happened. Maybe you start to put them together in a different way, and you realize it's an ending. But there are other things happening out there in the galaxy that now you know more about.
Gideon is dying.
It has to be, right, to call it an ending?
Yeah. I mean, it's going to feel like a
Unless
conclusion,
Din
right?
is dying. I really don't want that.
We'd be cheering. I mean, I'm almost upset he said this because it kind of takes a lot of the edge off of it,
By
I feel.
saying that we're going to be cheering and we're going to be excited.
Yeah.
There's an ending, but there's more going on in the galaxy that we kind of piece together now.
He's making it feel too definitive in a way.
Well, that's because he's not talking about his show. He's spoiling John's. While trying to hype... It sounds like he's spoiling the Favreau show while being like, hey, by the way, there's more going on, and we're probably going to see that in Ahsoka, cough, cough.
Yeah. The Brendan Wayne thing is really strange, though.
Yeah, to move on in that, Brendan Wayne, he is one of the body doubles for Din Djarin. He made an ominous statement about the upcoming finale on his Instagram story. He said, "This next episode is going to make you wish you hadn't asked for more. It might just hurt too much."
How does that...
Gideon dying doesn't hurt. Somebody else dying or...
It hurts in the sense that I love the character, but, like, for the story, like, obviously Gideon dying is a good thing. So that doesn't hurt. The only thing that hurts tends to be the death of good characters or failures of good characters.
Well, and as somebody who's playing Din, you'd feel he's especially attached to the character. So what is going to hurt? Or is it just that maybe Grogu will be pulled away and
we're going to do that again?
Well, we
he can
talked
come
about
back in
the
Ahsoka
Purrgil
then.
and the connection.
Mando can get like an episode or two in Ahsoka to reunite with Grogu again. It'll be fine.
You can ride a Purrgil to him.
There's
so many interesting thoughts, though, about... I mean, we see Grogu's connection to animals with the Rancor and Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
With the Purrgil, possibly them sensing each other. Who knows? Or if it was just a coincidence. Then there's that big old mythosaur under the waves.
Yeah. Who does
Grogu sense
somebody's
that
going to ride, right? Even though I'm
knows?
skeptical on that. We'll see.
But it makes me worry about the hurt part.
Yeah, because those are just completely conflicting statements, I feel. You can't cheer and be hurt. I mean, you can, but...
There's the bittersweet ending, yes.
You do bring a good point with Grogu in that Rancor, though. I mean, that's not like an easy... that's not a beginner-level thing right there. That tends to imply the Ezra animal, living
really
force
does.
connection kind of thing, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he does have the Purrgil gene.
First, he did kind of something with the Mudhorn, remember? Way off in the beginning.
He floated
him, but then the Mudhorn kind of collapsed. Well, no, it didn't kill it.
Yeah.
But what would have happened had Din not... I mean, that was his first, connection to an animal.
Yeah,
But after that, we have the Rancor, who he put to nappy time.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Then there were the Purrgil, who were just out there in space. Were they sensing him? Were they there because of him?
Yeah.
Was it coincidence?
Did he sense them and turned his head and looked? Or what's the deal?
And then there's a giant mythosaur.
Yeah.
Another creature that could very easily...
Grogu ride the mythosaur. It'd be the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, but...
All right. Well, let's move into our next article here. Jon Favreau praises the consistency across all Star Wars TV series and upcoming movies.
What consistency?
I think he's saying there will be consistency.
Oh, finally. All right.
I mean, one of Lucasfilm's biggest responsibility, and sometimes their biggest problem, is to make everything feel like it belongs in the same galaxy. Yeah.
That's an understatement.
Screen Rant had a conversation with Favreau about kind of this issue and things, where they go, where they came from, obviously, but more so where they're going, because the more the media spreads out, the
more you have, the harder it is to just keep everything straight and consistent. I'm not saying it's an easy job, but it is your job, or part of your job.
Favreau said, We're having a great time, and now I think you're getting a taste here of how much planning has gone into Star Wars. I could really speak to the time
Sorry.
period that we're working on, but if you look at what Kathy Kennedy has been doing, Dave Filoni has been very involved with all of it. You see The Acolyte, and you see Andor, and you see other films that are going to be coming. All of these things have to be coordinated because you want to make sure there's a consistency across all of them. As far as within our time period, we have to time how they go down. Not that you would need to watch each one, but you will have a better experience if you do. We're making sure that for the people who are watching all of them, it's additive, and it helps add greater insight to what's happening in the Star Wars galaxy.
And that's what we thought we were getting from day one with Disney.
No, we had to wait.
We had to waste the sequel trilogy. Plan. Who needs a plan?
Who needs a plan? Plans are over planned.
Yeah. Where we're going, we don't need plans. Because we're going nowhere. Sorry.
When you're just spinning your wheels.
It's the sequels.
You feel like you're going fast.
Yeah. I don't know.
May not look like
if
it.
only they had a plan with the sequels.
Well, what I found extremely interesting about all of this is we saw in the Ahsoka trailer, Genevieve O'Reilly is reprising her role from the prequels and Andor as Mon
Which
Mothma.
is cool. Yeah, I love that.
So this is actually the first time an actor has crossed between shows created by different people.
Never crossed the streams.
It's also the first time we're seeing an actor who was playing a character before and now after the original trilogy.
Did she voice her in Rebels, or was that someone else?
I don't know off the top of my head. But Jon Favreau is currently overseeing the overarching storyline that spans several series on Disney Plus and will culminate in the feature film directed by Dave Filoni.
Well, don't say culminate. It might go on after, too.
Well, it'll still culminate as a big overarching story.
All right, fair enough.
The story will culminate. It doesn't say it can't keep going after. It's like the Avengers.
Some could argue
I know.
Endgame should have been an Endgame, but hey.
It makes me worry, honestly. Unless they do an Endgame type scenario and maybe they do end those stories and they start up new Star Wars stories.
I think...
But Star Wars fans will appreciate that, whereas the Marvel fans, instead of starting up brand new stories and starting something new, they're like, let's just recycle and use people who are kind of just like the other people. It was weird. But in the case of Star Wars, they can do something like jump in the timeline substantially.
Go back 25,000 years.
And give us a whole new series of Disney Plus culminating to a new film and a new epic era.
I think that's exactly what they... I think Marvel's... not to get way off topic, but I think Marvel's strength has become a weakness.
Off topic.
How dare you? I think the linear, always constantly moving forward and building off the same thing, I think eventually people are like, okay, can we just do something completely different now?
It's like one of my favorite authors writes in trilogies. Mercedes Lackey, if anyone was wondering. I love the Herald of Valdemar. I've been reading them since I was a kid.
I know you have much love for Mercedes Lackey.
I do. What she does is she writes things in trilogies, and she does have a full, fleshed out timeline, but she'll write things in between, she'll write things going back further, she'll write things going out farther. It's kind of cool because I can pick up any part of the trilogies and read them as a self-contained story, but knowing some of the other pieces does enhance my experience. When I was a kid, I picked out the first one based on the cover, because I didn't know what to pick. I was wandering through the fiction section on my own. But picked out the first one.
You wandering through a library or a bookstore. I've never imagined that.
But I picked up the first one, I read that trilogy, and then later I read a different part of the trilogy that I found at the library. And then I read a different part, and I started realizing how they could connect, but they were all perfectly good, self-contained pieces on their own.
I think that's always the key to creating a large fantasy or space opera world, whatever you want to call it. A large...
Space opera world.
A large French... Yeah, that was stupid, but...
You? No.
I don't know.
All right, let's move on to the next piece here. Dave Filoni's Star Wars film is now reportedly targeting a 2026 release.
Ambitious.
Well, originally we heard it was 6 to 7 years off, but now we're hearing that was actually a misquote. That they were kind of trying to say that the Mandalorian storyline would be 6 to 7 years along.
Okay, so grand scheme of things, grand total, 6 to 7 years. Okay.
But
even that doesn't...
They're also saying the Ahsoka Season 2 is going to depend on Season 1's reception. Because I'm sure it won't go well. It's probably going to be phenomenal. Come on.
I wouldn't put all my eggs in that basket. She's not, in the core fandom, yes, a much beloved character. But even in the fandom itself, there are a lot of people who don't know Ahsoka extremely well. If you haven't seen Clone Wars, if you haven't seen Rebels, she's pretty much a no-name character to you.
Except she
not a
was
no
in
name.
Mando.
I mean, you know the
She
name.
was cool.
Well, yeah, but she didn't really. There's no story for her there.
No, but they made
No
her
reason to
really
get-
cool and
Well, sure, but-
interesting.
I know. I'm not trying. Hey, look, I'm not trying to diss Ahsoka at all. I think she's a great character. She's one of my favorites. But this idea that like it's automatically a hit is, I don't think so.
We do know that there are 3 feature films in development right now. The one focused on the beginnings of the Jedi, which was described as a biblical epic. That's written and directed by James Mangold, who has also officially stated he is doing the Star Wars movie before he does the Swamp Thing movie.
Wait, somebody's prioritizing
He
Star
did.
Wars?
He prioritized and said Star Wars movie is coming first, so at least we have that much to go on. He's not trying to do them at the same time. Star Wars is being
Could
prioritized
we get like
as
3
first.
years in a row of a Star Wars film?
Of course, we have the next one, which is bringing back Daisy Ridley as Rey, directed by Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. And, of course, the culmination of the Mando storylines from the Mandoverse, directed by Dave Filoni.
Do we have it confirmed that the Rey one is supposed to be first, right?
Let me continue. Kathleen Kennedy insisted in an interview with IGN that all the films are actually pretty far along, those are in quotes, pretty far along into development,
Sure,
though
sure.
not a lot of specifics were given at Celebration. The next spot that's reserved for a Star Wars film is December 19th, 2025, and Disney is insistent that Lucasfilm make that date.
Yeah, we've heard the rumor that Kennedy will be canned if she doesn't.
I don't know if I actually have this quote here, but I did have a quote somewhere from Kennedy that she thought it was very important.
Yeah, because it's her job.
No, wait. No, wait. I think I found what I was looking for. Sorry. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Lucasfilm wants to go back to the theaters with the film about Rey Skywalker rebuilding the Jedi Order. That's what they want. They want to go back to,
Yep.
clean up their mess first before they keep going? I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I would think you would. I mean, honestly, I think you would culminate the Mandoverse first.
It is the one that is more fresh in people's minds,
Yeah.
but maybe they're trying to prematurely fix some of the souring of the sequels by going, look, here's the new movie, and this one's gonna be good.
This one, we actually put a real writer in there.
Well, and they wanted their last products, they wanted the sequels to succeed. They made some bad choices, and they aren't seen as beloved by everybody, including you and including me. But
Somebody.
they want to fix it, and okay, fine. And ideally, Lucasfilm has actually said they want Filoni's film released in theaters 1 year later.
Okay, so Rey first in 2025, Filoni 2026, and Dawn of the Jedi 2027.
That's what it sounds like, and if that happens, I would be blown away, honestly.
It feels so weird to get 3. It feels like it was forever ago that we were getting like a Star Wars movie a year, doesn't it? Or is that just me?
With Mando coming out, in 2019, late 2026 would be roughly 7 years.
Yeah, it would.
Which is exactly the time frame they're aiming for. Currently, Disney has scheduled Avatar 4 to come out in December
Wait.
of that year.
Wait, 4?
Yeah. In
I know,
2026,
he's making like 7 of
Avatar
them.
4 is supposed to come out.
Okay.
But James Cameron recently commented and hinted that his film could actually be delayed by a year, which would mean Star Wars would have that time slot again, which is kind of interesting. And remember, the last time 2 Star Wars films came out in consecutive Decembers, they both crossed the $1 billion mark at the worldwide box office.
Yeah, Rogue One and Force Awakens.
Mm-hmm. And they're also saying Ahsoka could end up with a season 2 as long as the first one is solid.
Yeah, you just said that. I think it's going to be solid.
Mm-hmm.
But will the ratings be there? We'll have to see.
So we don't even know if there's an arc planned. I mean, we heard Ashley Eckstein at Celebration, it was before there was like C2E2, said that she would love to be in season 2.
Yeah, I think
I'm
she
assuming Filoni's already kind of got some story notes involved as to what he would like to continue with.
It's kind of weird to hear if it's good, it'll get a season 2, because that kind of implies it's not going to be, it implies we should get a pretty solid ending, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not so open-ended if you're not sure about continuing it.
What's weird is that if the Mandoverse is culminating in 2026, how many more series pieces are going to come out before then?
Well,
You can't have something too close in front of it because the movie, but you want to have it close enough that people are like jammed up for the movie.
Well, we know we have Ahsoka this year, and that would mean so we'd have 2024, 25, and all of 26 if it's December. So
Well,
we'd
and
have
Skeleton Crew, too. Don't forget that.
Skeleton Crew, yeah. So we'd have like 3 years to, I don't know, 2 more seasons of Mando if they put a rush on it.
Well, we
Another
know
Ahsoka.
season 4 is happening. It was written.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we had a long gap in between 2 and 3 years, so.
But the question is Ahsoka season 2 something that's integral for him, for Filoni, for his Mandoverse?
Well, it can't be if it's up in the air, right? It can't be
Right.
that integral if you're like, well, we'll make it if we can.
Because you need to make sure that anything you make would have to connect to this movie.
Yeah. Well,
right?
At least some kind of connection, right?
Or it has to be something good enough that can pull the characters where they need to be for that and let them go back with
They'll do what they did with the Rangers of the New Republic. Throw it in a season of Mando somewhere.
Ooh, maybe that's going to be the announcement. Rangers of the New Republic will be the one announced at the end of this with Captain Teva.
Hey, maybe.
And Zeb.
Hey, maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't rule that. I think Zeb would be a little expensive to have like as a main character, but...
And one thing that I think is an interesting thought is that if Filoni's working on a season 2 of Ahsoka, how in the world is he going to have time to be working on his Mandoverse movie as well?
Don't ask questions.
Don't ask questions.
He doesn't need sleep.
Everyone needs
Just
sleep.
work on Star Wars. I don't know. Those are a ton of interesting questions, and hopefully, a lot will become clear after Ahsoka. We'll see the numbers. We'll see, do fans like it? We'll see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? But for now, that's all we got for you this time. So now it's your turn to take to the comments below and tell us what you think of any and all of today's news. And let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.